Hi and welcome to Bike Rider TV. This episode we've got Polaris' RZR570, Moto Guzzi's awesome little V7 Stone, then we've got a motocross double header, Kawasaki's 250 and 450F.
Tried a few starts without the launch control off the dirt, and it had that punch back, and it really kind of jumped off the gates. And to be honest, I think I prefer that. I think it was better for off the dirt to run without the launch control button. So what I think would be the way to go would be to test it out on the concrete, and I think it would help a lot when you're racing off the concrete gates. Someone like at Summercross or something, you know, would definitely want to run that button. It's got some serious good power. I love it when it just revs out, keeps powering, you know, up higher in the rears. Yeah, it's the only standard bike that I've actually jumped my big triple on, just straight out of the box, because I just felt comfortable with the power. Yeah, it's pretty grunty. Yeah, the 250 has the SFF forks, which are like the separated between the rebound on one side, compression on the other. Okay. And the best thing about these ones is you've got the adjustment that you can actually click on the top of the rebound side, and you can just easily change that. You can change the preload on it pretty easily, and they feel great. I mean, they might not be quite as light as the air forks, but I think they're more adjustable, and you don't have to worry about checking the PSI on them all the time. So, okay. Yeah, and as to the way they work, I don't know if they're quite as sensitive to the little sharp edge bumps because of the extra weight in there. But I find that they're still a really progressive kind of a fork, and I find that there's these forks on the Kawasaki are actually they're pretty onto it.
Now Paul's going to get seated and take you for a spin on Polaris' RZR570.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here up at the top of the Kaimais after just coming up Thompson's track, checking out Polaris' new 570 RZR. And we've spent a time with a bigger brother RZR, the 900, and we absolutely love it as a sports utility, a sports side-by-side. The 570 now not only makes the package a little bit cheaper, but it also makes it a little bit easier and also a little bit smaller. Polaris say that the RZR is the only trail-friendly side-by-side on the market, and we've just come up a pretty gnarly trail, and I'd say I'll have to agree with them. Powering the RZR is pretty much the same motor as the bigger 900, just a smaller 570cc version. You've got 9.5 inches of suspension travel, you've got headlights, roll cage, seat belt. It's got all mod cons, and it really does make it a safe vehicle to drive around in. If you're used to driving around on ATVs and they've always worried you about rolling over, the RZR is actually a really good alternative. It's got a very low centre of gravity and all these safety devices as well. Now, even though it's the smaller engine RZR, that doesn't mean it's slow. And it does a claimed 0 to 35 mile an hour, or 50 kilometers an hour-ish, in 4 seconds, which is pretty quick and certainly feels it when you're sitting in the driver's seat. Now the power's controlled through a CVT automatic transmission, which means you're not bothering changing gears. All you've got is reverse, high, low. You've also got a switch on the dash so you can flick between 2 and 4-wheel drive, so you really can get up some steep and gnarly hills, but also flick it in 2-wheel drive if you're on easier terrain. And we spent a day on the farm with the RZR, and it was quite a hilly farm. We moved stock, we moved around, we had 2 of us in comfort, and it really did do the whole farm thing surprisingly well. The only comment that was made was that the tray at the back was quite small, but it is a sports utility, so you do have to make a compromise somewhere. Today we tried something a little bit more rugged, coming up Thompson's track, which certainly is that, as it's a real 4-wheel drive playground, and the RZR handled it all with ease. So if you're looking for something a bit different on the farm, you're looking for something you can have a bit of fun with, it certainly is worth looking at one of these RZRs. Maybe the 900cc version was a little bit too much, but the 570 really does tick all the boxes.
Dirt Rider Down Under, New Zealand's #1 off-road motorcycle magazine, full of all the latest racing, news, reviews, tests, stories, interviews and more. Available at all good magazine stockists, or visit www.drd.co.nz to subscribe and save and check out our merchandise. Dirt Rider Down Under, proudly bringing you the best in New Zealand motorcycling and Bike Rider TV.
I'm just going to head out on Moto Guzzi's V7 Stone. Hi, this week we've got some classic or retro Italian rock and roll for you. It's the new Moto Guzzi V7 Stone, the 2013 model. For those critics out there that say nothing's changed since last year, or even those that go one step further and say nothing's changed with the Moto Guzzi for decades, you're both wrong. This, the 2013 Moto Guzzi V7 Stone, has got just under 200 new parts in that engine and gearbox alone. Pretty much makes it a new model, although aesthetically, you'd hardly tell. Back in 1977, a guy called Lino Tonti designed this basic engine layout, and they've remained in production pretty much ever since, ranging from 350 to 750 cc's in capacity. This one, fuel injected. They've updated the whole fuel injection unit and the inlet manifolds since last year. They've upped the compression. From the outside looking in, very similar. From behind the bars, quite different. You've got 12% more horsepower, although at 50 brake horsepower at the crank, it's hardly what we call stonking. It's much livelier. It's got 10% more torque than last year. What it does is give it a more lively, more Italian thoroughbred feel. It's a retro cool classic, so it's not designed for the boy racers. What it does is give someone that wants a retro classic plenty of performance for the real world, and it kind of appeals to the younger sect as well as those that recognise what a Moto Guzzi is. As far as any self-respecting Moto Guzzi fan goes, there's only 2 types of people in the world: those that love Moto Guzzis and those that don't understand them yet. It's a west-east facing motor. When you blip the throttle, it wants to go east. The little rock and roll thing is something that Moto Guzzis have done ever since the first V-twin came out, and it's something that Moto Guzzi owners just love. You feel like you're on something that's kind of alive and tangible. If you're after silky smooth, super efficient, somewhere else. But if you want something that's got lots of character, plenty of street cool, and this one looking particularly almost military classic, it's pretty awesome. Now if you fancy a Moto Guzzi V7 Stone for yourself, you're looking at the colour choices, it's pretty black and white, literally. You've got Nero Revido, the matte black, or Blanco Puro, which obviously is pure white. The aesthetics, it really does look the part. You probably want some retro gear to go with it. It's just one of those bikes that kind of makes you feel good. Sticking with the old school cool theme, large diameter, clear glass headlight. I mean, real it would look pretty naff with a set of LEDs on the front, wouldn't it? Chop down front mudguard. It's got nice sensors, it's got Brembo brakes, single on the front. It lacks a bit in the Venom stakes, but it's fade free. Those fork gaiters, they look cool. They do protect your fork sliders, there's no doubt about it. It's mainly there for looks though. The front forks are a little bit too soft for me. I'd play around with the fluid levels and maybe a heavier spring. The back, they're okay. They're a little bit on the firm side when you've got these soft front ones. Easily fixed. It's not a real luxurious ride. It's quite lean. You sit on top of it just like you did back in the 70s. You sit upright. It's a great commuter. It'd be ideal for that sort of thing. A little bit of touring as long as you're not doing high speeds because you've got no weather protection. It's a wind in the face. Breeze through your open face helmet if you want. It's that sort of ride. Now that very cool and iconic 90-degree V-twin, it only puts out 50 horsepower, which is not huge for a 744cc engine, but it does put out 60 Newton meters of torque, which is pretty respectable. What it does also is put that maximum out at 2,800 RPMs, so anytime you're doing more than a fast idle, you've got all the torque in the world to get you from A to B. Almost perfectly matching that relaxed character of an engine is a fairly chilled out frame. It runs a 130 section rear tyre on a 17-inch rim, 100 section on an 18-inch on the front, and it's fairly raked out. What that does is gives it quite a bit of gyroscopic force, keeping you straight up and down. It doesn't flick from side to side overly quickly. Then again, it's not really what this bike is about. It's about enjoying that rock and roll beat of a Moto Guzzi V-twin, chilling out and enjoying the ride. So there you have it, all you retro fans. Solid as a rock, Moto Guzzi V7 Stone.
Bike Rider Magazine, New Zealand's leading road bike mag, full of all the latest racing, news, reviews, tests, stories, interviews and more. Available at all good magazine stockists or visit www.brm.co.nz to subscribe and save and check out our merchandise. Bike Rider Magazine, proudly bringing you the best in New Zealand motorcycling and Bike Rider TV.
Last but not least, here's Peter Broxy on Kawasaki's awesome KX450F.
So the actual changes this year are not many, but they did change the grips. I think they made them a little bit longer, and which is quite nice. I mean, sort of a little bit more room to grip onto. So there is that little change there, and a few other tweaks and stuff, and the way that the power goes and everything else. So not a lot of changes this year, but you've got all the things that have been so good in the past years. Everything, even down to the adjustable handlebars at the front here. And, yeah, it's a good bike, so pretty happy with it. I think one of the cool things about the new 450s and the Kawasaki is that they offer the 3 different ignition plugs that you can use. You got the green one, which is standard, and then you got the I think the black one's the more sort of aggressive, kind of a more soft terrain kind of a one, which gives you a little bit more pep when you need it in that soft terrain. I'm going to be hitting some sawdust out there later, so I guess that's where it'll come in handy. And then for the more sort of slippery, skatey kind of stuff, you've got the other map, which it's more for the hard terrain kind of stuff. Okay. And I think it's a great option that they've got. The map that I'd probably use the most on the 250, I think I went straight to the soft one, which means that it's a bit more aggressive. I quite like the aggressiveness and the two-stroke kind of a feel out of it. Whereas on the 450, I'm not sure. I'm going to stick with the standard for a little while, and I might even try the other one for the hard pack terrain. We'll see how it goes.